Hey everyone, Sherwood Small Pets here. So I'm here with Tigger because this was not a planned video. It's just something that I kind of decided that I wanted to talk about, needed to talk about. And it's going to be a tricky conversation. It's going to make some people uncomfortable. That's okay. We'll all get over it and we'll be fine. That is the difference between rescue versus adoption versus purchased. Okay? We're going to talk about it because there is a difference. It's not all the same. And just because you want to say that they're the same doesn't make them the way they are. Okay? Cool. I will preface this by saying, in my house, I have all three types of pets. I have purchased, I have rescues, and I have adopted. And I make sure that I make that differentiation very clear. Now, a lot of people are going to say, why? Does it really matter? It does, actually. It matters a great deal. One of the big differences is just the simple fact that we're overusing the term rescue. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of hearing that everybody thinks that every single one of their pets is a rescue just because they want it to be. And that's not the way it is. First off, the first big one, just because you're rehoming something, like somebody's moving, or they're a senior citizen and they can't look after their pet anymore, or there was an accidental litter or something like that, that does not constitute a rescue. That's a rehome. That's an adoption. Still a good thing to do, but it's not a rescue. Okay? A lot of these animals that get rehomed, or that if it's like, say it's a friend that's moving, or a life situation happened, that animal was loved. That animal was looked after. So you calling it a rescue is not only inaccurate, but it's actually insulting to the person that's rehoming it. A huge number of the animals in shelters are rehomes. So these animals came from loving families and something happened. So you're not rescuing it, you're adopting it. And that's fine. It's still an essential thing to do. I don't want that to come off as that is still an essential thing. But you shouldn't need to pat yourself on the back more by calling it a rescue, because it's not. Okay? And a lot of there are shelters, because we know that now this type of sensationalism really, really works with people. A lot of rescues sensationalize how many of the animals that come in that are actually abused versus the ones that our owner surrenders, because it gets them adopted. And that's not like me being a skeptic or me being cynical. That's just what happens. And even the ones that are abused, you didn't rescue them. You're adopting a rescued animal, and it's still great, but it's somebody else rescued it. And a lot of people are saying well, if I didn't take it home, it would live its life in the shelter. Well, no, if you didn't take it home, somebody else probably would have. And the reason that I say that this distinction needs to be made, is that somebody else risked quite a bit getting that animal out of whatever bad situation it was in. That person saved that life. And that's impressive and it's amazing. And by us constantly saying that we did everything, then we're kind of taking that away. Okay? The next one is this BS about purchasing an animal at a pet store and saying that you rescued it. No, you didn't, my darling. You purchased an animal. And unless it was with conjunction of a rescue or a humane society, you purchased an animal from a puppy mill, or from a hamster mill, or from some kind of mill. Okay? And so by you, quote, rescuing it, you're just opening up a space for another animal. Okay? For another animal from the exact same situation, where they're not looked after, they're not healthy, and a lot of us have bought an animal at a pet store at one point or another. It's important that we just own it and realize that now that we know it's 2018, we know that that's not the way to do it. So by calling it a rescue, it's flatly untrue. It's the same as getting an animal from Kijiji from a quote, from somebody selling them. You're purchasing an animal. And again, I've purchased animals from good breeders, and I own that because there's reasons for it. People purchase dogs because, not all of us are equipped as new dog owners to deal with emotionally or physically abused dogs. And that's not a fault. That's an important thing to make a distinction of, because you have to realize what your lifestyle is, because both of you will suffer otherwise. And it's the same with a small pet. If you want something cuddly and sweet, oh my god, speaking of cuddly and sweet, then you have to be aware of what you're getting. Okay? But again, you didn't rescue it because you paid for it at a shelter or at a pet store. It was bought and paid for, which is fine. It is what it is. But don't call it something that it's not. Actually rescue, like an actual rescued animal, means you physically went into the situation and took out a neglected animal. And I would hope that a majority of us who say we rescued something didn't physically have to do that. Because I will tell you right now, I have rescued in my house now. Well, I guess Gus isn't with me anymore, but my main actual rescues were Toothless and Hiccup, so they're long gone, hamsters of mine. Gus, who was my Daegu, Merlin, my chinchilla, and Robin Hood, my first ever guinea pig. Those are the only pets that I will ever claim to have actually rescued, because I went into their previous home and got them out. Okay? The other pets that I have that were rescued, I adopted. The shed pigs, I did not rescue them. I did not go to the shed and take them out. Somebody else did, and then I took them, cleaned them, and got them back to health. But I adopted them. I don't try to claim it otherwise. Because you know what? It was still a crap load of work. It was exhausting. It was still an exhausting amount of work. But I didn't physically take them out. And that's a distinction that I make sure that I make, because the people that did take them out, they rescued them. They did an incredible job. Rescue is not for everyone. It's not. It's exhausting, it's taxing, and it's devastating. That's why I don't like throwing the term around lightly, because it's a heavy term, okay? That's what this video is about. It's just, I want us to understand that there is a huge difference between rescue and adoption, and it's not one's not better than the other. Rescue is expensive because you're not going to a shelter and getting a pet that was, once neglected, but he's now been rehabilitated. You're getting the animal before the rehab. Because you all of a sudden, the rehab's on you. Okay? That's the big difference. So the next time you say, I'm going to go rescue this, check yourself a little and ask, are you actually rescuing it? Or are you adopting it? Like Lumpy, Heffalump. My friend Kay 100% rescued him. I adopted. That's the difference. Anyway, be good to one another. I hope this video didn't irritate people too much. Tigger's clearly had enough of me, so I'm going to take my cue. And we'll see you guys real soon. Take care, everyone.